What's up guys, so welcome back to another weekly market analysis video on my YouTube channel. Right, so last week was a very good trading week, and I believe that this week also will be spectacular, especially on Euro USD and gold. And so yeah, I'll be sharing with you what I think will be my directional bias on these two wonderful pairs. Right, so without wasting much time, I'm gonna start with Euro USD on the higher time frame. Right, so Euro USD. So right here on Euro USD, I will not waste so much time in here. So already I mark this as my weekly breakout structure to the upside, right? So we know that the weekly is what is bullish already. Okay, so right after that, let's step onto the daily and let's see what the daily is doing. Right, so if you've been following me for quite a while now, you understand that I actually said this point to this point, even though it was the weekly push, it was also the daily push. So we had the weekly and the daily sharing the same structural leg, right? The same way I can see this low, which has created this current high over here, right? Even though price action is not yet completed, I'm still looking at it as the weekly daily push, right? I'm just opening myself to whatever price is telling me, and I'm just going to react accordingly. Okay, so yeah, because of that, I know that anytime the daily and the weekly are sharing the same structural leg, I do not have to worry myself that much. I'll just switch to H4, right? But then even without stepping onto H4, you can see that we have this low, which has created this immediate high over here. Okay, now once I see this, I will just let go of all these price action that I see over here and then focus on just this move. Okay, just to get the right amount of data to work with and not confuse myself. Okay, so now I can step onto H4 and mark my level of demand that I'm looking at. So right in here on H4, I have this level, which will be my level of demand nicely. Okay, now all what it means is that I will be expecting price to come into this demand, and if this demand decides to hold, then why not we make a push to the upside? But if we break, then yeah, we break to the downside. So once I understand this, right, I will just start switching to the intraday time frames, right? Again, without even stepping on H1, you know that I hardly step on H1, right? But with this one, I can see this last point over here, okay? So now I'll just mark that and step on H1, okay? And right after I step on H1, I see this wonderful level of demand in here like this. Now what this means is that if price will come to this H4 demand zone that I marked, we must breach this last H1 point. Okay, if this H1 point is not breached, trust me, price can respect this and still push to the upside. Okay, now so once I have this, I can now step into my intraday time frames proper and see what price is doing. Okay, so again, even without stepping onto intraday, you can see this beautiful low that created this high. So now I'll be limiting myself to just this price action to see how price is going to move, right? So again, I'm going to put my ray line to from this low and then all the way to this high nicely. So now I can step into my intraday time frame and you realize that it is the same push, right? Now there was something happening in here which I want to really explain or talk about. So right in here, I saw this move into this level of demand of the intraday, and so personally I have been expecting price to move all the way up to take out this high. That was my expectation, right? But then upon whatever I'm seeing, I think I'm beginning to have like a different thought, like a second thought. Right now you can see that in here, even though it was like one push to the upside like this, we have this internal structure we made like 1 2 3, and then we broke structure to the downside, right? So the internal structures have broken to the downside, meaning we can have something like this 1 2 and then a drop to the downside. Okay, so yeah, lest I forget, let me mark this level of M15 demand right here nicely. So once I have this, I'll be expecting that 1 2 3 move to this place. But then again, if I watch this level of intraday demand, it is in confluence with Asian lows, right? So that is what is giving me the second thoughts, that in as much as I was looking for price to like push to the upside, I can actually expect price to come down into this with a 1 2 3 move like this, and then because of this Asian lows, I'll be expecting this level to be taken out. Okay, so that's my first confluence. Second confluence is, if you watch in here, I have Asian low not taking, Asian lows not taking, with even relatively equal lows over here, right? So this is another confluence. Another confluence is, if I switch to the weekly time frame, you're going to see something. You're going to realize that price is actually reacting from a weekly supply zone in here, like a reactive supply zone on the weekly time frame. So these are all the confluences that I'm looking at, and I'm thinking that price may not, my choice of words, I said price may not switch, or continue the push to the upside. Apart from that, let me mark this level of supply in here. So most of the times I'll be marking this as a smart money trap, but because of whatever the internal structure has done, this switch to the downside, I will have to pay attention, right? So I had this supply zone, and then there was also one here as a decisional one, but then you can see that it got breached with a wick, right? And then we also made a push to the downside right in here. So personally, I was expecting price to like start dropping. You can see that as at Friday, when the market was closing, we had not taken out this wick yet. So I'm personally expecting price to like drop all the way to the downside like this. Now, it doesn't mean that as I'm looking for a drop, price will not continue to the upside. Already I told you intraday we are bullish, right? But because of what the internal structure is doing, I have to respect that. Okay, so yeah, when the market opens, we can have this high being taken out nicely, because it will be like the previous day's high, right? So it will be taken out nicely, and then we tap into this supply zone proper before we drop. Now, even when we tap into the supply zone and then we show any signs of dropping, I'll still pay attention to whatever price is happening here. I hope you guys have not forgotten this. So this also a zone that could be respected, and then could even lead price to push to the upside. However, when the reaction is coming, right, I will personally be looking at what price will do in here. If there's any hedge, I'll hedge. If no hedge, I will expect that push to the downside. Why? Asian lows not taking, Asian lows not taking, equal lows over here. And then if I even take a trend line and I do this is trend line liquidity built to the downside, right? So that is what I will be looking at. However, if this level decides to hold and push to the upside, why not? Like I said, if there is any opportunity to sell, I'm going to sell. If we come in here and I get a hedge, I'm going to hedge all the way to the upside. So currently on EU, we have been given like two scenarios to look at, right? That even though the intraday is bullish, I'll just be paying attention to what all these internal structures will be doing, and then I'm going to take advantage accordingly. Okay, so yeah, no pressure. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. Just react to whatever the market will tell you. Okay, so yeah, real quick, let's step on gold and let's see what gold has for us. On gold, let's see. Gold also looks similar, right? Gold is also having like a similar price action. This was just a markup that I was sharing with one of my students, right? So the same thing on the higher time frame. Let's start with H4, because I don't want to make this video long. So on H4, I marked this low that created this high, this immediate high on gold, right? So it means that on H4, I'm gonna have this level of demand right in here. Okay, you can see that it's almost the same as a Euro USD, right? But then real quick, let's step into intraday and let me show you. Gold is looking very, very good. So on intraday basis, right, this was actually the last intraday low that created this high, and then now we've come to have this one that created this. So currently I'll be working within this push, right? It means that if I will expect price to drop to the downside, I will need to take out this point. Okay, and again, you can see just like Euro USD, this last point is in confluence with what with the Asian low, and then the same story being built on Euro USD. You can see that this Asian low is not grabbed, this Asian low is also not grabbed, right? And Asian lows are what liquidity pools. So right in here, I'll just indicate my break of structure to the upside like this nicely. So BOS, and all what I'll be expecting is for price to drop. Currently on the intraday time frame on gold, you can see that price has already showed intention to start dropping, right? How did I know that? In here you can see that this was the last internal structural low that created this high, and that has been taken out already nicely, whether with a wick or whatsoever, it has been taken out. So presently all what I'll be expecting is, well, I'll just mark this level of supply right in here. Even though price has not tapped into this level of supply yet, you can see what you can expect is price can actually come into this level of supply once again, and then we drop. Okay, we can have that happening. We can tap into the supply and then we drop back, or even as I'm looking for price to drop to this place, price can also breach this high before dropping. If it breaches this high, it's just because this high happened to be last week's high, right? The previous week's high. So we can take it out before we start dropping, or we can respect the supply and still start dropping. But then another thing that you should also take notice of is, if this high is breached, you should look at how price will react to this zone. Probably it may hold and continue to push to the upside. But then with the story on EU, I personally will be expecting price to respect the supply and then continue to make a move to the downside, and then subsequently to take out this last point of what intraday structure, right? So this is my view on Euro USD and gold. I'm not going to be hard on myself. I'll just open myself up to whatever the market is going to provide me, and then I'm going to react accordingly, right? So yeah, if you like this video, give this video a thumbs up and also leave a comment in the comment section, right? So I'll see you within the week with another educative video.